You have to leave space if you want a man to miss you. Now, if you're going to insist on being that kind of woman who wants to check on her boyfriend or her husband every few hours, how his day is going, when is he coming back home, has he picked up the groceries, or if you're going to insist on dating in a way where you want to chat with the man all day long, send him texts every few hours, then you're not going to be able to make a man miss you. Because one of the foundational principles of attraction and missing someone, whether it's dating or in a relationship, is space and distance. And as a woman, you have to get comfortable leaving some space and distance with the man you like or with your partner so that they actually have that time and that openness and that distance for them to think about you and to miss you. I think the best quote that describes this equation is absence makes the heart grow fonder. So if you're going to be a woman who is afraid of distance, who is afraid of leaving some space in her courtship or in her romantic relationship with her partner, then you're going to have a hard time making your man miss you. This is dating and relationship coach Sami Wunder, and for the last decade I've been helping smart, strong, successful women find and keep amazing love and create healthy romantic relationships. If you're new to my channel, make sure you take a moment now, hit the subscribe button, and let's talk about how we can get a man to miss you more. So as I just said, the most important factor is truly space and distance. And even when I look at my own marriage, my husband loves me, adores me, all is great. I mean, I also share some of our struggles on some of the other videos, but let's just say it's a great, thriving relationship. But even within this relationship, what I have noticed is that every time I take a solo girls trip away, or, I go to London or New York, to meet my clients and do my VIP intensive days in person with my clients. Every time I come back, my husband's passion for me has risen. He has really missed me. He has really felt my absence. And therefore, when I come back, my presence is even more valuable to him and he's even more all over me. So I can definitely say this is true for, women in partnerships, married women. Do not be afraid to take those solo trips. Do not be afraid to create that distance. It's actually a great way to keep the spark alive, to keep the fire alive, and to make him miss you. Now, if you're a single woman, this is equally true for you. So often we think if we talk to a man all day long and text with a man all day long and, call with him every single day, that's how he's bonding. But what if I challenge that? What if I told you that men actually fall in love through distance and space? So, of course, they enjoy the in-person interaction, but then the time in the middle when he's not getting so much of you, when he's wondering, what are you doing? Where are you? Who are you meeting? What if I told you that thinking about you in those ways and occupying his mind in those ways is actually a really powerful way for a man to bond with you and fall in love with you? So I think the key message here is that as women, you have to stop being afraid of the distance, and you have to start seeing that distance and space in between dates, or if you're in a committed relationship, just letting your partner be when he's at work instead of calling, texting, checking on him. You have to see that space and distance as actually having the power to make your relationship hot. So fall in love with the distance, fall in love with the space. It's not a bad thing. Now, way number 2, you can make a man miss you more is when you shake up the routine and don't always be boring and predictable. Let's just face it, like in a romantic relationship that is long term, there is a certain level of predictability that happens. Like your husband or your boyfriend will text you and you'll reply immediately, or your husband and boyfriend will text you and you'll drop everything else you're doing and you'll pick up the phone. And it's also true for dating, especially when you like a guy, you'll probably still drop everything and pick up his phone. Or even if with other people or other men that you're not so interested in, you will take your time and get back to them at your own pace. Somehow you might be setting up a predictable pattern with that one man you like, and who you're seeing right now. So I'm going to invite you to shake things up. I'm going to invite you to be a little unpredictable. This doesn't mean that you have to play games. On some occasions, it's completely okay to respond immediately. But let's just say if you're doing something that you enjoy, or you are out and you don't want to be stuck on your phone, it's completely okay to take your time to respond when it feels good versus, get stuck in that obligation and predictable pattern of, I'm going to get back to him the minute he calls. I'm going to get back to him the minute he texts, because that's our relationship. That's our equation. And what this is going to bring is it's going to bring some mystery into the equation. It's never a bad thing to make men wonder, where is she? What is she doing? Why hasn't she answered my text? And while this doesn't have to be done artificially, as I just said, I think keeping this in mind and not letting yourself be predictable and not letting yourself be seen as a woman that he knows completely or has nailed down completely is actually a great way to get him to miss you. Way number 3 to get a man to miss you more is to surprise him. So let's just say, you always wear a certain kind of clothing style. You always wear jeans and t-shirts. I would say surprise him with, a red dress and red lips, or change your hair, or try a different kind of hobby. So I know for sure that when I started learning how to do horse riding, and I had to stop because of certain reasons, but I may go back to learning it again, I could see how suddenly woken up and intrigued Christopher was by this adoption of a new hobby by me. He was like, oh my God, it's like a new woman I'm discovering. And so I think always being excited to reinvent yourself, especially in long-term relationships. But even if you're dating, surprise him. Like, don't rattle out everything about yourself on date 1, 2, or 3. Let yourself be revealed over time. So for example, you don't have to tell a man that you speak 3 languages on date number 1, that you have a master's degree on date number 1, and that you've traveled to over 40 countries of the world on date number 1. You can reveal these things over time to keep the surprise element alive, to keep that mystery factor alive. So that's number 3 way of making a man miss you, which is, having the ability to A, reinvent yourself, and B, to sort of let the gorgeousness and the mystery and the intrigue of who you are reveal itself over time versus sort of rattling it off on date 1, 2, or 3. Now, way number 4 to make a man miss you is honestly to be a loving and encouraging and supportive presence in his life. I think so often when we look at feminine energy women, we are thinking so strategically. Like, we're thinking, oh my God, now I have to feel my feelings and share that with a guy. Or, oh my God, I have to lean back and not initiate conversation, and that is going to make me a feminine woman. Now, all of this is okay. I don't want to judge it. However, I feel like feminine energy is that sweet, accepting, supportive energy. And when you can make a man feel that he is accepted in your presence, when you can make a man feel that he's appreciated in your presence, when you can make a man feel that he is doing a great job and he can be himself in your presence, I think that is when you are truly going to become irreplaceable in his heart and mind. And this is what is going to make him miss you. And no supermodel and no woman, who's 19 years old is going to be able to compete with that, because he feels that emotional connection with you. He feels safe with you. He feels seen, heard, and accepted and understood by you. So of course, this is not about creating space and distance. This is the opposite. This is about creating emotional intimacy. But there is that element of missing that person who is that beacon of positive energy and light and love and appreciation in your life. And you're going to just miss them when they're not around, because literally there's nobody else with that energy in your life most of the time. And so I think just remembering to embody that feminine energy, that sweet energy, that supportive energy, that loving energy. He has an idea of a new business, support him with that. Don't strike him down. He tells you that his boss praised him at work. Be excited for him. Tell him you're proud of him. I think so often these things are neglected, and dating and relationship coaching advice on the internet can feel so strategic and so superficial. And so I want to bring you back as my community to really noticing the power of being that soft, sweet, feminine presence in a man's life, and knowing that that actually makes you irreplaceable. Like no woman in the gym, hot looking woman can ever replace that energy when you possess it. And last but not the least, the way to make a man miss you, and we also talk a lot about this in Elevate, is to truly love and value yourself in a way that you're never codependent on the man. I think one of the weakest and most unattractive energies we can display, whether we're dating a man or in a relationship, is when we make him feel like we need him in order to live, breathe, survive, get through life. And I think it's so important to not give men that impression, because as much as men would like to be our heroes and be present for us and be there for us, there is something super attractive about a woman who has a busy and full life without him. And so this means, have hobbies that interest you. Don't be the woman who just waits for her husband or her boyfriend to come back home. If you're single, rotational date. Don't be the woman who's waiting on one man to ask her out or to take her out. Have your hobbies in place. Look after yourself well. Make appointments. For me, I have my regular 2 times a month appointments with my girlfriends. I have regular 2 times a month appointments at my, beauty room. I get my hair done. I get my nails done. I get my facials done. So having your own life without the man is a short way of showing to him and communicating to him that you're independent, that you can look after yourself. And this is just something that is so attractive and that most men appreciate, and that makes most men miss you, because who doesn't want that kind of woman in his life? The woman that needs him but is not needy for him. So if this video was helpful, make sure to give me a like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. I am so glad you are here, and I cannot wait to help you have the love you want. If you'd like to work with me and attract an amazing empowered masculine man, or heal the relationship you have currently and take it to the next level, I invite you to check out my 6 months live group coaching program, Elevate. The link to the page is in the description of this video. Thank you for joining me, and see you next time.